What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Wednesday morning edition of the Daily Dime here at FTNFantasy.com. My name is Zac Graham, aka Kawaisenberg DFS, rolling solo again today, but not by design. Power outage for Alex this morning, so hopefully that gets turned back on soon. I believe he's still out there in Florida visiting some family. So we're rolling solo here today. I'm a little on edge. Cannot lie. RJ Barrett. 2 assists last night? Tough. Tough one. We're back at it here tonight. 9 games, or we had 9 games. Now 8 games. Bucks Pels postponed. Snowing in New Orleans. So, I'm not only on edge because of RJ Barrett last night, but I am on edge because I had multiple picks from Pelicans and Bucks to talk about here on the stream today. So that going away about 15 minutes ago, I won't say sent me into a frenzy, but it was frustrating. We see JJ in here. Good to see you, Josh. And P Mike as well. Picks, props, and plays. What do we got, baby? Well, we will get into that because the hits did not stop coming with the postponement. The first prop that I was on, let's go ahead. We can pull up Underdog here today. Let me get a couple zooms there so this can be visible. I was going to Nick Richards, higher than 8.5 points. And literally 5 minutes ago, now down to 0.92x. That's no fun. I still think we can, if we're following the lead from the projection model here. I still think we can attack. Oh, and now we're getting, okay. So let's still talk about Nick Richards. For what it's worth, I'm getting some messages there. For what it's worth, on that points prop, it's too low. If we can find something that's a, plus 1x multiplier, I'm fine putting that in there. We've got Nick Richards projected for 11.7 points here tonight in the model, and that's a 28-minute projection. Now, we came up short of that last game, but did start that game. So, debut with Phoenix, 29.5 minutes off the bench. Starts his second game with the Suns. 22, first of all, foul-shortened minutes, and then blowout-shortened minutes. Left the game 7.5 minutes to go due to the blowout at the hands of the Cavs. So I think the 28-minute projection as a starter here is we saw Mason Plumlee. I think played 4 minutes. Oso Ighodaro, I don't believe played until garbage time. So with the trade and with what we've seen Coach Budenholzer do with Nick Richards here to start his son's tenure, I think upper 20s in minutes is a really fair projection. And so when we were talking, or when I was looking at the points, first of all, obviously the projection in the model was very, very strong. But he's over this number if we combine his time with Charlotte and Phoenix, right? Because we just have the 2-game sample and only 1 start with the Suns. But 10 starts this season between the two teams, over 8.5 points in 6 of those 10 starts. But some of those, as you can imagine, some of those starts with Charlotte, they got run out of the gym. 24-point loss in there, 26-point loss in there. So some of those starts, even though he started, he was playing high teens in minutes. So if we just look at the 10 games where he's played 24 or more minutes this season, Nick Richards has gone over this number in all 10 of those games. Again, when I bring sample sizes like that to the Daily Dime, you also have to understand, and we have to be transparent about that arbitrary cutoff line. If we take that down to 22 minutes, you add another 3 games into that sample, and he did not go over in any of those 3 games. So just because we have the 24 minutes or more, he's over in 10 of 10, it's not a lock, but this felt so damn strong and was probably my favorite pick here this morning before they took it down under that 1x multiplier. But now that they've given us 18.5 points and rebounds, 1.06x. I think that's where I want to go here. We've got him projected for 20.8 points and rebounds here. Again, in that 28-minute projection. So let's check what Nick Richards has done from a points and rebounds standpoint. So again, 10 games, 24 more minutes here. Over an 8 of 10? 7 of 10. Uh, 7 of 10. So I like that one, man. And again, the model has been fairly sharp at the top end of the prize picks tool over the last couple days. Towns being the most recent example last night. So I think with that extra little cookie we're getting on the multiplier there, that's my pick. You could also go to 19.5 PRA. We've got them right around a hair above 22 PRA here tonight. But I think getting the 1.06x is where I want to go, and that's where we can start. Good to see Josh Gilliman here. It's Tatum free square. Free square, did they give it to us on Underdog? Or are you just saying he is a free square, Josh? I don't see it. Maybe it's on mobile. Let me pull it up. See Ian in here as well. And P Mike said for later in the stream, did I miss? So the NFL, the Pacheco play yesterday, and of course you can go back and watch the end of that stream where Alex was talking about those NFL plays. I believe it was Pacheco lower than on his rushing yards. Can probably get an answer for you, P Mike, right here. So while Alex does not have Wi-Fi, so he doesn't have the streaming capabilities here, we can text him. Oh, and he's in the chat. Alex in the chat. Rush plus receiving yards under even more now. P Mike. So there you go. If we need a 6 pick here today, that's where we go. So yeah, shout out Alex. Appreciate that. Anthony Edwards wondering what his point projection is. It's a good question, Ant. 27.1 here tonight. Minnesota taking on Dallas. So there you go, Ant. What do you think? We taking the over or under on you? And Josh saying on mobile. On UD mobile. Okay, so I got distracted there. Let's see. I don't have it. I do not have it. I do have the 50% boost. I did just see that. So we'll get in on that later. Let's keep going with some of the picks here. Where do we want to go next? Let's go to Houston. Houston and Cleveland here tonight. Cavs are 2.5-point road favorites. Still no Evan Mobley. I've got a couple places that I think we can attack here. A lot of familiar names. Let's start with one, okay? Amin Thompson. I do think the double-double is in play. 1.15x. Not the best matchup, but the minutes are going to be there. So I don't hate that at all. But what I like even more is that Underdog has given us the stocks props here this morning, and they have put a nice juicy 2.5 line out there for Amin this morning. Now we've got him projected for 2.99 in the model, so basically a flat 3. And he averages just 2.4 stocks per game on the season. But that's in 29.9 minutes per game. So we can call it around 30 there. 38-minute projection here tonight for Amin Thompson. I want to say he's crested 40 again in each of the last 2 games. And 3 of the last 4. And 5 of the last 7. Like, it's just a different role for him at this point in the starting lineup with no Jabari Smith. And also, like, maybe Cody's in the chat or watching this back on replay. Our buddy Cody J, who I think is the biggest Rockets fan we've got around these parts. I don't think Jabari Smith should get back into the starting lineup when he's healthy. It's Amin Thompson season. So I mentioned 2.4 stocks per game in 30 minutes per game on the season. But started 12 games so far this year. He's over this number of 2.5 stocks in 8 of 12. And then again, we also want to look at not just the starts, but also the minutes allocations over the full season. So like we expect him to continue to play upper 30s in minutes, maybe low 40s again. 14 games this season where Amin has played 34 or more minutes. He's over in 9 of those 14. Now, in terms of the actual matchup, it's not a good matchup, stocks matchup for point guards against Cleveland. But Amin Thompson's not playing point guard. He's kind of playing all 5 positions. Right? We've seen him play small ball 5. We've seen him handle the rock, especially with Fred out. And starting really at the nominal 4. So, like, if we're just going to go by positional breakdowns, plus 32.3% steals for power forwards. But I don't think with a guy like Amin, I'm too worried about the positional designations of these boosts or slightly negative spots, right? Because just point guards alone, it doesn't look great, but you look at some of the other positions and it's just fine. So I really like the Amin Thompson stocks here. That'll be our second pick this morning. And I want to stay in this game. I want to stay on the same team. And we're going to have, I don't know if we're going to get to 6 picks here this morning because of the picks that I lost from Milwaukee and New Orleans. But we'll see if we can get there. Cam Whitmore's right here. 10.5 points is the line. And we're getting the 1.07x. So if you get this Cam Whitmore line in there and you want to put Nick Richards just the points at 8.5, 0.92, you can certainly do that. Should come out to right around your normal 6x payout for a 3 pick rather. And if you don't want to pair, like I will have a couple more picks here. At least 1, maybe 2. We'll look a little bit deeper into the stocks and steals and blocks as well. But if you don't want to pair Amin and Cam together, that's fine. I'm going to here this morning. And like, I just don't think my rationale has changed much on Cam Whitmore. We've got him projected for 12.5 points, actually 12.6 points in a 20-minute projection. Actually might be 20.5 minutes. Either way, this season, and this is something we talked about early last week, I think, when I think Whitmore was even in a better spot at that point with no Tari Eason in the lineup, but we've seen, Jayshawn Tate losing some time with Eason back. Whitmore has held this, high teens, low 20s type of role in the rotation with Eason back over the last couple games. Cam Whitmore this season, 15 games of playing just 13 minutes or more. Over in 10 of those 15. And again, even last year, different Houston Rockets team. And this sample also includes down the end of the season when, almost everybody in the main, starting group from Houston last year was already taking a seat. They were already tanking, throwing in the towel, so to speak. But it doesn't change the fact that 37 times Cam Whitmore played 13 or more minutes in his rookie year. He went over 10.5 points in 32 of his 37 appearances last season. He's played, like I mentioned, at least 19.5 minutes in each of his last 5. So again, is it the greatest matchup in the world against Cleveland? No. But I do think this line is a bit too low. The model agrees, and we're getting 1.07x on it. Again, Rockets 2.5 point home dogs, but 229.5 implied total. I don't really have pace concerns with this game. And I have a third pick from this game. Dean Wade, 4.5 rebounds. Now, out of the 4 picks we've talked about so far, I'd say Ammon's my favorite, then Nick Richards, then Cam Whitmore. Those would be my favorite 3. Dean Wade would be secondary if we want to classify it as that. But let's talk about this one. We have him projected for 6.3 rebounds here in the model, 25-minute projection. Still no Evan Mobley, so he should continue to start at the 4 here for Cleveland. Q-tag Karis LeVert. If he plays, he should slot back in on the wing there next to the Garland and Mitchell backcourt. Dean Wade has started 24 of the 33 appearances this season that he's made. He's averaging 5.1 rebounds per game on the season. He's over this 4.5 number in just 13 of his 24 starts, so not a strong lean if we're just doing the game log watching. Same thing last season, 32 starts, over in just 17 of his 32 starts. But I do think the minutes floor is solid enough where I'm going to go ahead and lean into what the model thinks is one of the strongest picks right now on Prize Picks or Underdog, with the projection of 6.3 rebounds here tonight. So you got a little bit of buffer in there with Dean Wade. Again, this is a secondary pick for me right now. And another that I don't have any entries in here yet this morning. And I think it's for good reason. Like, I think you guys would agree that, like, with no Luka Doncic, taking the lower than on Kyrie Irving's points at least feels like a risky proposition. It doesn't make me feel great to want to go lower than on Kyrie with no Luka. But this is, from the projection standpoint here at FTN this morning, we only got him for 34 minutes. So maybe that's a little low. Right, we have seen him get up into the upper 30s over the last 2 after he had a little bit of a minutes restriction coming back from, what was like 10, 12 days that he missed earlier this month. He's averaging 24.2 points on the year. And this is what surprised me and made me think that maybe the model is onto something here as well. He's gone under this number of 26.5. 13 games without Luka this season. He is under this number in 8 of those 13. It's not a great matchup here tonight against Minnesota, right? With no Luka, you would imagine you're going to get probably full 48 of Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench. Right? Like, I don't see any reason why Chris Finch would stick a Mike Conley or a undersized Rob Dillingham. Like, I could see Minnesota making Kyrie's night really, really tough here. And the model certainly thinks so. So I did want to highlight that. Again, it's not one of my top 3 here. But those are the 5 that I have left over after we lost the 2 from Milwaukee and New Orleans. So I do want to check back in on the stocks. So I got about halfway through this before, couple minutes late there, getting started. Wanted to fire up the stream. Okay, so Dyson Daniels, 0.9x on 2.5 stocks against Detroit. If you're going to go to a sub 1x play here, it's that one over Nick Richards. Take the Richards 1.06x on the points and rebounds. We've got Dyson Daniels. I want to say it's close to 4 again. 3.85 stocks is his projection here. Okongwu in the starting role. You would assume he keeps that? Not as strong. Do we have Derek Lively news on if he is, did he go to shoot around this morning? Do we have any information there? Because Daniel Gafford 2.5, if Lively sits, last I checked, he was questionable. 2.5 for Gafford if Lively sits is too low. 12:30 injury report. He's still questionable. Let me check in on the chat. I don't mean to ignore you guys here. So yeah, the 50% boosts on Underdog are fantastic. And yeah, with the promotional tokens, right? Prize Picks, you call them the tacos or the discounts when it's not Tuesday. But yeah, Underdog has been... I have played more on Underdog than Prize Picks this year, and I think that's probably the first time that I've done that in the last couple seasons. Randall under 1.5 threes. Spider under 3.5 threes. Let's talk about those. And excellency. You got to spell it correctly, though, Ian. It's 4 letters. XLNC. P. Mike, so I think Josh was saying he had a Tatum 0.5 points on his Underdog mobile app. I did not have that discount pop up for me. So you may have it, you may not have it. That could be some sort of special promo. Sometimes these sites give certain users promos and others don't get it. So I'm not sure what's going on there with the Tatum. Josh said Randall threes under and Donovan Mitchell. I would lean more towards Randall if you were going to go to one of those, Josh. It's also what the projection model is saying here. I think 1.35 on Randall. 3.7 for Spider. And again, without Evan Mobley, like Donovan Mitchell is another kind of in similar vein to Kyrie, where like it doesn't feel great to be taking the lower than selections there. And we don't have a strong lean that direction in the projections. Randall averaging exactly 1.5 threes made per game this season. Pretty crazy to think he was shooting almost 8.5 threes a game 2 years ago. So I want to keep combing through this. Stocks board real quick. Shea up at 3.5. They're short-handed. J-Dub was in shoot around this morning. Casey Wallace, Kessler, Bain. Bain at 1.1. Keep my interest to the DFS streets there, maybe. Porzingis late night. Now he's questionable, I believe. 2.5 stocks against the Clippers, 1.2x. He's not questionable. That's pretty interesting to me. Give me Boston. Mm. 29% steals boost for centers against Clippers. -22 for blocks. So slight positive there for Porzingis. 1.2x though. Houston gives up the least amount of catch and shoot. Randall can't shoot either. Yeah. I am not up to date on how many of Randall's threes are coming off the catch and shoot. Overall, not much of a catch and shoot player. Yeah, see, I don't think it's popping up I don't think it's popping up for everybody, P. Mike. Tommy. My guy. What is up, Tommy? Haven't done DFS this season. Coming by to send you and the family well wishes. Miss you, brother. We miss you too, Tommy. Hope you're doing well, my friend. See if we have any blocks or steals, or did they post fantasy score props yet? Get to DFS here in a second, then we'll shut it down. Stu, Okongwu. Okay. Porzingis 1.5 blocks? +1? Block rate is down this year. It's 5.8 last year. 4.6 this year. Career 5. I don't know. Porzingis 1.5 blocks at 1.19x feels really good. But again, not good positionally in terms of a boost to blocks. Not a boost to blocks. Porzingis 2 or more blocks in 11 of 19 games this year. And when he plays 27 or more minutes, 13 appearances this year of 27 or more minutes for Porzingis. I mean, he's over in 10 of 13. We haven't projected for right at 1.5. I like that a lot on the surface. Sometimes you got to go with the noggin model. See Randall under assists as well. Yeah, that's where I was going to look, see if they had free throws made before I get out of here. For sure. I also wonder with the Clippers matchup. Oh, Porzingis now questionable. Okay, well that. Okay. Cam Johnson doubtful. Ben Simmons doubtful. D'Lo ruled out. Fun. Zaire Williams ruled out. You know, hello, $5,200 Tyrese Martin, $5,700 Keon Johnson. Come on down against the Suns. Oh, if those guys just played, we could just ignore Brooklyn. All right, crushing my Porzingis dreams there with the illness. I'm not sure how many. Maybe you guys could jog my memory on somebody who, any player of over the last like month, right? And it's that time of year. But it feels like any player over the last like month who gets a morning or early afternoon illness downgrade has sat. I'm sure one or two slipped through the cracks there, but like it's John Isaac yesterday, right? He got tagged illness. So did Cole Anthony. Anthony sat, Isaac played. Answer my own question there. All right, so man, a Mo Bamba 1.5 with no Zubac. Now that's a little interesting. And Mo Bamba 1.16x. Mo Bamba averages a block per game in 13 minutes, basically. Holt. Okay. Sometimes you get lucky and the news comes through. Like Derek Lively has a small fracture in his foot and is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. So you get in on the Gafford higher than 2.5 stocks. Pair them with my Houston guys. Quick $10 on it. You know, we're not dealing with giant amounts of money over here, but you will not get that line today. Again, we had Gafford projected in 20 minutes. 2.38 stocks. And we're going to add about another 8 minutes to that projection. So that feels good. All right, let's talk some DFS, shall we? Again, favorite 3 on the day. On the morning, rather. Where'd my Nick Richards go? I took his points down. Okay, and now 18.5 points and rebounds is no longer 1.06x. It's just 1x. Still like it. See what happens. But we might get that points reposted at 9.5 if that came down again. No fantasy score, I imagine. Nope. No free throws. Okay. Now, this is yesterday. Need to get a refresh. Couple DFS notes here. $17.5. Ian said 17.5 on Richards. Well, I still like that. You know, Brooklyn as an opponent just got a lot weaker. So, chance for blowout elevated. 12.5 point road favorites are the Suns. I would still very much take the 17.5. So clear this out. Clear out that news. All right, so some of this is going to be a little outdated already, right? So we got the Nets news. We got, what else have we got since we started the stream? Porzingis not on the main. That will affect your FanDuel slate. FanDuel's got all 9 games tonight, just 7 on DraftKings. Okay. Karis LeVert's unsurprising to me. In my DraftKings placeholder, top in the GPP scores as we take our first look here this morning. 4K. Like I said last time there on the slate, I think it was Monday, right? Would he rather have the shooting guards small forward eligibility? Absolutely. And I do think the 20% number on a 7-game slate, if we get Karis LeVert in and confirm starting, that number comes up, I think. Bobby Portis, second. We're out of date here, right? Postponed. But that $4,700 number for Bobby Portis was very attractive. Then you see Onyeka Okongwu, Nick Richards, Jalen Duren. And those are just 3 of the names where I think like mid-range center tonight on DraftKings is bountiful. Like, I think for me, it starts with Mark Williams and maybe 7K, right? Maybe I'm reaching to include him in mid-range centers today. But Charlotte gets the matchup with Memphis. Big pace-up spot. They're on the road. They're double-digit dogs. So you got to be careful of that. But since we saw Nick Richards get shipped out of town, 29, 36, 33, 29.5 minutes. For Mark Williams, and like one of the best so far this season, one of the best fantasy point per minute assets that we have on DraftKings. And the last 4 games have had a lot to do with it, right? 52 DK in 29 minutes, 57 DK in 36 minutes, 54 DK in 33 minutes, 40 DK in 29 and a half minutes. So with the pace up spot here against Memphis, I think you got to have interest there. It's not a lock in a single entry, but like Mark Williams will be in my MME build. And cycling through him, guys like Jared Allen, even in the tough matchup against Houston, no Evan Mobley. I want to get to some Jared Allen, especially after people are probably off him. Against Minnesota, the first game without Mobley, it did not go well. Last game, he was fantastic. 12 points, 11 boards, 2 assists in just 22 minutes. But they ran the Suns off the court. So you only get 22 minutes. Here against Houston, 2.5 point road favorites, 229.5 implied total. I like Jared Allen. And maybe when we search here or we filter by ownership, so does the field. But just 24%. So I like Jared Allen too. And you continue to scroll. Now Daniel Gafford at 6K, even against Minnesota. If we can get 30, 32 minutes out of Daniel Gafford, which he's crested 30 in 2 of the last 3, without Lively, I don't know, man. In those 50 DK in 30 minutes against New Orleans, 71 DK against Charlotte. Minnesota, much different matchup. But you got to consider Daniel Gafford. And then we get into, this is where it's really loaded. Assuming he continues to start over Clint Capella. Onyeka Okongwu against Detroit, 5,600. Jalen Duren on the other side of the ball there, 5,500. Rudy Gobert across from Daniel Gafford, 5,400. That is less exciting than some of those other names, but you got to consider him. Nick Richards, 5,300. Will, Jalen with a Y, right? From Oklahoma City. J-Dub, Jalen without the Y, going through shoot around this morning, so we should expect him back. But here against Utah, J. Will, 5K? Yes, please. He's a +1 fantasy point per minute guy. 31 minutes against Dallas, 33.5 DK. 27 minutes against Brooklyn, 36 DK. 24 minutes against Washington back on the 12th, 32 DK. He is also too cheap. So again, that's a lot of center options. It really feels like a double center night to me on DraftKings. Nick Smith pulling the most ownership on the slate right now. Nick Smith can, even at 3,200, can absolutely fail. He could go out there and give you a 1 for 12 from the field. And at high ownership, you're feeling terrible. But the guard forward eligibility, he's into the starting lineup right now for this Hornets team. 26 and then 30 minutes respectively in each of his last 2. And when he makes his shots, he's going to get on top of this like damn near min price number. 3 of 7 from 3, 6 of 12 from the field for his 24.25 DK points against Chicago. 7 of 13 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 27.75 DK points in his 30 minutes against Dallas. You are scoring dependent here for Nick Smith. But when he gets hot, man, like you look back on the 5th against Cleveland on the road, just 19 minutes, 31.25 DK points, 7 of 12 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. So I will say 39, basically 40% Nick Smith on the morning run feels thin. And losing a game off of this slate now with no Bucks and Pelicans, that number's probably not going down on the next update. But we'll see. We've got some Q tags that are still hanging out there. Right, getting a little bit more clarity with the Nets, with the Mavs. But the Hawks, right, you got a Q tag on Jalen Johnson against the Pistons. Derek Lively is not the only important Q tag. Obviously, we have resolution there now, but Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall, Klay Thompson, all questionable. Dwight Powell also questionable, or out rather, not questionable. Dwight Powell is out. So again, Daniel Gafford. Jaden Hardy remains out there. Brad Beal is questionable. Yusuf Nurkic remains out for Phoenix. Doubtful on Jake LaRavia for Memphis. Again, Q tag on Karis LeVert. Utah getting some guys back today. Lauri Markkanen available. John Collins available. Colin Sexton available. You do lose Bryce Sensabaugh, and you do lose Cody Williams. Ankle issues. Any other notes that I have here? Again, on spend ups, you see with the ownership, the field getting to Mark Williams, getting to Nick Smith. LaMelo, 18%. He and Cade right there, 18.5%, 19%. Especially with Giannis out now. Or not out, but postponed. Cade and LaMelo look great. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a higher GPP score than Cade or LaMelo. And I do think LaMelo is the riskiest of the three, given the matchup and the spread there. But I like all three of those guys. And the up-pace nature of Charlotte and Memphis for the Hornets does have me interested in LaMelo. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say the slate started 10 minutes from now. If I whittled down my player pool and I have as much exposure to those mid-range centers as I think, that I ended up slightly over the field on all three of those spend-up point guards. See Oscar Thompson picking up some ownership. He did make it into my placeholder on DraftKings. Don't love him, but definitely don't hate him against Atlanta. And you're probably still expecting, low to mid-20s there. Value perspective, Nick Smith, Karis LeVert. We don't have Bobby Portis, Duran, Okongwu. We don't have Gary Trent, Jared Allen. So you can see a lot of these centers grading out really, really well. On FanDuel, before we get out of here. Again, now 8 games on FanDuel with the postponement that we had. GPP scores. Sabonis, Mo Bamba, SGA, the top 3. See Jalen Johnson with that Q tag 4th. I messed around with him in placeholders on both sides. But the one Atlanta Hawk that made it into my FanDuel placeholder before the stream is Onyeka Okongwu with that power forward eligibility. And you see Mo Bamba is the second highest GPP score on the morning run on FanDuel. With some of these forward eligible guys, I've got 3 centers here. 3 starting centers tonight with Mo Bamba in the center spot, Jared Allen and Onyeka Okongwu in the power forward slots. Is that how I end up at lock with my one FanDuel lineup? There's a lot of news to come between now and then. And there are a lot of attractive power forward options other than those center. Domantas Sabonis up top, and you see Sabonis as the number 1 GPP score here. Sub 5% ownership against Golden State. Makes sense. But then I think you can also get to, again, we mentioned the Charlotte and Memphis game. Nick Smith, 4,100. Again, it feels even thinner over there, 4,100, and we don't get the 3-point bonus. That has not stopped the field from making Nick Smith the highest projected owned player on FanDuel this morning. LaMelo also getting the interest there from the field at 10-2. Totally get it. And Desmond Bane as well on the other side. Bane, guard forward. Just shooting guard over there on DK. And I mentioned those spend-up guards on DraftKings. This jogs my memory that in my placeholder, Ja Morant at 8,500 made it in. Because if we're going to have all this attention being paid to Desmond Bane, and rightfully so, I'm not saying Bane is a bad play, but Ja Morant at much lower ownership for not much more, 86, right? So a $900 difference on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, $900 difference They actually the exact same price? Okay, $100 different on FanDuel. Each guy $100 more expensive. I lean Ja over Bane in tournaments here. And I know I was on Ja on Monday. Didn't work out great, 5 of 16 from the field. I think that's a place I want to go back to. So again, we will get, for our FTN Fantasy subscribers, we will get all of this updated, the minutes from the news that came in right before and during the stream. Get that postponed game out of there. And we'll wait for, the free throws and the fantasy score props and see if we can't put together a nice little 6-pick play over there on Underdog and post that in the Pick'em Games channel of the FTN Fantasy Discord. Appreciate everybody tuning in, sticking with me here on the solo edition. Over 45 minutes here on our Wednesday. Let's hope that Alex gets his power back ASAP, at least before tomorrow's stream, right? Because we love it when Alex is here. So the plan right now is that Alex will be back with me tomorrow, same time, same place, breaking down Thursday's slate, but a nice 8-game slate in front of us here on Wednesday. So I'll see the rest of you, our subscribers, in the Discord throughout the rest of the day. And everybody who's not a subscriber, I don't know what you're waiting for. You come on over here, join us at FTN Fantasy, get access to all of the data, especially, leading up to Conference Championship weekend in the NFL. It's a big weekend coming up. So come join us at FTN. And regardless of your subscriber status here, one thing you can do on these free streams here Monday through Friday on the Daily Dime is subscribe to the channel here on YouTube and hit the thumbs up. You hit the like button on this video. It helps us grow the Daily Dime. So once again, appreciate you all tuning in, sticking with me. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Enjoy your evening, everybody. Goodbye.